Hello, today's video is going to be about how we feel in groups, and I'm delighted to have Katy with me to do another demonstration for you. We've saved a bit of time. We're going to be working with animals, and Katy has already chosen some of the animals she wants to use in this demonstration. Groups can be very stressful for people, so how are they for you, Katy?
Not great. It is something that I angst over a lot when I'm having to join a new group, particularly, and it feels like I've been in lots of different groups in my life. Just last week I was at a training course for the new data protection laws.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it was only half a day's training, but I felt that kind of angst, even being in that group, the kind of anxiety.
Did you know anyone in the group?
No, I didn't know anyone at all. Yeah. And it was...
And even there, where you may never meet them again, there was still something difficult?
I just felt just anxious, really. Yeah. And it was kind of made more difficult by the fact that we were all there and the trainer hadn't turned up.
Oh, right.
So I had to walk into this room and say, is this the data protection training? And everyone said, well, we think it is. And it was, someone would, a new person would come in, and then they'd say something, we'd have a bit of a joke, and then it would all go quiet again. And that kind of continued for about probably half an hour.
Really?
Yeah, it was a long time.
Those silences can be very uneasy, can't they?
Yeah.
So in any group, whether you know the people or not, whether you've built up relationships or not, we can feel quite stressed.
Yeah.
I wonder if you would tell us a little bit, using the animals as symbols, about the kind of people that stress you out in groups.
So the interesting thing is that when I think about all the group experiences I've had over the years, it's kind of common themes with the sorts of people that I really struggle with and the kind of issues that come up. It doesn't really matter whether it's data protection training or a college group I've been in.
Yeah. Same sort of things come up.
Yeah.
You've chosen some of these characters already, so introduce them to us, Katy, if you would.
My hands are sweating a bit just looking at them. I can feel that kind of anxiety already. Yeah.
Who would you like to start with? Or?
I think I'll start with the kind of really dominant one here, which is this lion. But actually I need the lioness.
Okay, shall I pass it to you? There you go.
Yeah.
They go together?
Yeah. And this is, I've often had an experience that there'll be two people who know each other in a group already. They might, have done all their training together, or they've just got a long friendship behind them, and they're kind of like a power couple.
Okay, they come as a pair.
They come as a pair, and they are just quite formidable, really. They tend to be quite loud in the group, quite domineering, and I'm always just frightened of, will I get on the wrong side of them?
So coming as a pair, they seem to have more power.
Yeah.
And you can't get in. I'm kind of picturing, would you want to get in?
I'm not sure I would.
No, right.
Yeah. I'm kind of not sure I want to get too close.
Yeah.
But I think it's that feeling who's going to end up in their pride, using the lion kind of picture.
So they could collect people around them, but that might leave you even more isolated.
Well, it might. It's kind of weighing up, is it more dangerous for me to not be part of what they might build around them, or is it more dangerous to be in there in a circle?
Yeah. Wow, that's quite complex, isn't it? I do understand what you're saying. I think I echo that, and it can be quite hard to know how to be with them.
Yeah, because I think I tend to just be more wary. If I feel there's that edge with someone, I would tend to stay away rather than take them on. But I think it's that lion thing that they will go hunting at some point.
They'll go hunting
I feel
as a pack.
There will be a victim at some point. I feel like it's inevitable, and that I have seen that happen.
That's quite powerful, and you don't want it to be you.
I wouldn't let it be me,
right.
But I'd like to think I wouldn't let myself be the victim, but I realise it could still be a very stressful experience.
I understand that. Who else would you like to introduce to us?
I think next this kind of pig or boar, or I'm not quite sure what it is, but this for me is the person who talks and talks and talks. They literally hog the show.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah.
And it's normally they go on and on about things that are completely irrelevant or just not, you know, tenuous kind of things within a group. And I don't know, I feel like how a pig just eats everything. I feel like they eat up my time, other people's time. They eat up the kind of good things of the group.
And what happens to you inside when they do that?
I'm just rolling my eyes thinking, here we go again, and why won't someone rein them in?
I get the sense it's spoiling the group for you.
Yeah, I think perhaps I feel it can keep the group superficial as well.
Yeah.
With all the just the chatter about nothing.
Okay. Who next?
I don't want to touch it because I hate them. And it's so lifelike, but it's the snake. And the snake is, for me, it's kind of the person who is in the group, but they are on their own with their own kind of agenda. Quite often, I find it's the person who's late all the time.
Right.
And I kind of don't trust them. They just sort of silently sneak around. Maybe I don't ever really know what they're thinking. They're not necessarily very open, and they're just kind of their own solitary entity.
So different from the pack here, the pair of lions.
Yeah. I mean, these almost feel over-involved.
Yeah.
The snake feels under-involved.
Never quite sure.
Never
They
quite
just sort
sure.
of slither along in the background.
Yeah. And I find that difficult.
Yeah, can't really understand what's going on.
No.
What about these other two? We've got two left here. Which would you like to pick up?
I think I'll go for the dodo next.
Okay.
Yeah. The dodo, for me, is the person who breaks the rules.
Oh, right.
I mean, they're probably a little bit linked almost to the snake. I don't even quite know how to describe what it does to me. It's the person who, I don't know, they just do their own thing. It's almost like, well, the very fact these dodos are extinct, they're not part of the current animal kingdom. Again, they're another person, I suppose, who is their own entity within the group.
They do their own thing.
They just do their own thing.
Oh, I'm sensing you're saying they get away with things.
And they get away with it,
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's a common feeling, actually, about all these people or animals. They all kind of get away with it.
Am I getting the sense that you're quite a good girl and they get away with breaking the rules, or whose rules, I wonder?
Yeah, I don't know. I do have a good girl part that likes the rules. I definitely have another part that doesn't like the rules.
Oh, that's interesting. We'll come to you in a second because we've got one more first.
Yeah.
Tell us about, can I just move that in a bit? Tell us about Bambi.
This is the kind of the prey.
Oh,
the prey
Bambi's
animal.
fallen over.
I mean, I find this person possibly, strangely, the most difficult of all. Because I feel like this is the victim in the group. This is the person who will dissolve into tears whenever someone says anything that's a bit challenging. Again, they won't engage because they're just too fragile. Yeah. And often they want to make everything nice as well. And I find that quite unreal.
This sense of not engaging is coming through quite strongly.
Yeah.
They're not joining in, they're not being part of it,
No.
they don't belong.
No.
Yeah. That's really powerful. Thank you so much, Katy. Having looked at a selection of people that trigger something in you, some quite strong feelings as well, and I was interested that this triggered the most for you. I think what we'll do now is take a look at who you are in groups.
Okay. I think this starfish here is me when I'm not sure in a group. I'm alive, but I'm kind of still and silent, and I suppose like a starfish is in the sea, you know, the waves are just washing over me. I'm quite passive, I suppose.
And who else have you got there?
Well, sort of almost the complete opposite is this wolf. because I can be really vocal in groups and I can be quite risky with what I say. I have got a side to me that says, I'm just going to say it.
And I've got echo in my mind, I won't let them with the pair.
Oh, yeah.
There was quite a strong self was coming through there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be passive. I may not directly take people on, although I have got the ability to do that, but I will sometimes make life uncomfortable.
You can own that for yourself. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. And you've got the final one.
Well, this is almost just this kind of crazy elephant
I'm not sure
thing.
It will stand up without the
the
placemat.
This sort of, I have got a kind of joker side to me, and I know that can be a way for me to cope in groups, just kind of having a laugh with people.
May I touch it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you know what this actually does. Because if you wind it up...
Oh, perfect, even better.
It's quite funny, really. No, he was not doing it, but yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah, and I think that kind of fits quite well. It's a side to me that will joke and almost be a bit flippant as well.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
They're quite different, aren't they? Those
Very.
3 aspects of yourself.
Yeah.
There's a couple more before we finish to look at, but I'm quite intrigued by this alligator or whatever it is. Is that part of you? Or?
It's not actually. I chose this to represent how I often experience a group leader.
A group leader?
Yeah. Not in a way that you might think of when you look at a crocodile, that it's scary and dangerous. I think it's more, I will respect the experience, and I'm thinking like with crocodiles, they're that kind of ancient wisdom. I will appreciate that often in a group leader, and I'll give people the benefit of the doubt and assume that they have that. Yeah. But I think it's just that ability that a crocodile has to turn.
Got big teeth.
Yeah, so that's some of my anxiety. Will the group leader, if I get it wrong, will they turn on me?
And these little ones on the back?
I suppose I'm just thinking it could even be the other people in the group who, again, like with the Pride of Lions, they've got their kind of young who are safe with them. Will I end up being safe? But then I don't want to be too safe. I don't want
really hearing that 2 sides of you.
I don't want to have to comply to the point that I lose myself, that I lose my wolf.
And I wonder if we're kind of talking about that. How do I retain my core self in this kind of context where I may be reacting to what other people are bringing into the group dynamic? Just to finish with, Katy, I asked you to choose a couple of aspects of yourself that would strengthen you in a group.
Yeah.
And what did you choose?
Well, I chose this ring-tailed lemur. I love lemurs, and I think for me this is just my individuality, me as me, and it's got its little kind of child there looking after my inner child, and the vulnerable parts of me. And I suppose for me, I've learned to not kind of share too much in groups if I don't feel safe enough to do so. I think that's been wise. There have been times when I've maybe said too much and then regretted it.
I understand that. That's real wisdom, isn't it? Knowing when to speak and when to be silent.
And I think I just love the lemur's ability to get away as well, to climb a tree, to
escape.
So I feel I can kind of rely on, even if it doesn't feel it's going well, have I been true to myself to the best of my ability?
Important to you.
It is, yeah.
And then we've got the stag.
Yeah, this is a bit of a variation, I suppose, on the wolf. It's just that part of me that will, that has antlers, that has a voice, that will take on lions or, the group leader if necessary, in a kind of healthy way.
Yeah, there's a strength there.
Yeah.
What a contrast. How's it felt just to explore yourself using the animals and the group members?
It's surprising. It's, I think I thought I knew all this anyway, but it's brought it to life in a different kind of way. It's made it easier for me to see the dynamics, and where you've said to me, this keeps coming up, doesn't it, time and time again. This is a theme. I hadn't really realised.
Thank you, Katy. That was very helpful. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for watching our video, and a huge thank you to Katy for sharing her experience in groups. Just want to say a couple of points to the counsellors who might like to work this way. You don't need a huge collection, but you do need different varieties of animals, and I've talked about this in one of the previous videos on working with animals, so do take a look. One of the things we have to remember as a counsellor when the client is bringing something else into the counselling situation is to not lose contact with the client themselves. We can get very caught up with the animals, how interesting they are, how fascinating it is, but to be aware of what's happening to the client while all this is going on. And also not to let our own interpretation of what the animals mean get in the way. It's what the animal means to the client, and we have to bracket off our own feelings and thoughts about the particular symbolism that we might be thinking of. So do have a go. Enjoy working with the symbols of animals. They are so helpful, and thank you again for watching.